we're back. We're glad to see you.
Me?
I called you our show's senior poster icon.
That sounds like an accusation, Roland.
It's great praise.
Well, thank you.
You know, we're taping the middle of January, and we just read in the paper recently about the death of Sir Edmund Hillary.
Right.
I know you've met him. I know you traveled the world. So what was the occasion that you met him?
Well, this was about 5 years ago, and Ed Hillary, makes an annual trip, or did make an annual trip back to the Himalayas to see his old friends, the Sherpa guides with whom he climbed, the villagers to whom he devoted much of his life after his celebrity for climbing, raising money for schools. I've been in some of the schools in Kumjung and elsewhere in the Himalayas, where now thousands of kids have received an education who might not otherwise have it. And health clinics where hundreds of people owe their lives literally today to Edmund Hillary and his altruism, his true love of not only the Himalayas, but of those people that gave him his celebrity.
This gives us a nice segue to talk about your remarkable travels. What were some of the highlights this past year, and what's coming up this year? You know, since you are such a model for us, we've got to hear vicariously about your life.
Well, I do organize international trips, 3 or 4. This is informally. I have a club of about 800 people who are Jim Klobuchar's Adventures, it's called. It's simple to get onto it on the internet. And we were in, and out of these 15 or 16 or so, well, I'd say almost volunteer, but no, we have great time. We were in Greece and the islands, the Aegean Islands in the spring, marvelous Santorini and Crete, and my bike ride in the summer.
And across the wilderness, where is that?
Well, I rotate the routes. This year we were in Ely, my hometown, for 2 nights on the campus of Vermilion Community College, which is my alma mater before I came to the university, and Aurora, places like that, and marvelous time in the Boundary Waters. And this year we're going up to Pelican Rapids and Brainerd, Osakas and Walker and places of that ilk, and we'll love it. And then in the late summer, I took a group of people to Slovenia, the land of my forebears, a marvelous little country now, a member of the European community. Dad would be proud of that. And to Austria, where we sang the songs of Strauss and the Trapp family. So a great year.
You know, you write a book a year, it appears, and now the current book is sort of a change of pace, and yet it is so absolutely appropriate. It's called Pieces of My Heart, and it's all about your travels or about your adventures throughout the world.
Well, in some ways, thank you. In some ways, it's a memoir, Roland. It's reminiscences of a wilder time in my life, but not always wild. An energetic time in my life when I climbed and jumped out of airplanes, flew airplanes, a lot of things. Some of this stuff I still do and love it. But this, I'm looking at now the climbs and the associations I had, Peru, the Inca Trail, the Himalayas. I look at it from the standpoint of a man in older years now, appreciating the enrichments that have come into my life.
I've read it. It's really remarkable. It's very, very sensitive and really quite spiritual.
Well, yes, I look at it, the world, that way. I was thinking a couple of days ago about, remember Edna St. Vincent Millay and oh, world, I cannot hold thee. It's a wonderful earth, the good earth. And of course, if you think about your health and look after yourself, you can enjoy it.
Well, talking about that then, since you are the quintessential healthy type guy, and yet you've had a number of illnesses, how do you manage the pace? What advice can you give to us fellow seniors?
The first advice would be to know a good doctor and follow his advice on maintaining yourself. And not all of the things I do require super creatures. In fact, none of them do. But at the same time, it begins with health, and also the realization that after we leave the workforce and we have time on our hands, that we do have energies and we still have dreams to fulfill, goals to fulfill. And when I say everyone has an Everest, I'm talking about some ultimate fulfillment in our life in terms of relationships, in terms of realization of the good that is within us.
Finishing off, we just have a little time. You have a senator in the family, and you always have a favorite anecdote about Amy. What's current?
Well, as a matter of fact, it's in the book. I write a chapter here about riding 1,100 miles across country.
When she was younger.
Minneapolis. She was a senior in college, and it was a wonderful, not so much anecdotal. I have this advice for grandparents who might. I can't think of a better way to bond with children or grandchildren, to experience a few days in the outdoors. And when I rode this bike ride with Amy, this was a young woman I hadn't met. I knew her as a child, as an adolescent.
Yes.
And
I was struck by that, yes.
And learning something about her dreams, her visions of the future, her hopes for her career, all of that. We laughed together, we cried together, we yelled at each other, and we became very good friends.
Well, she's going to be doing a remarkable job for our state and our country. So
Thank
we're
you.
all very thankful for that. Well, we've been talking to Jim Klobuchar, our poster icon, and we're very glad to get a report on what you've been doing, and come around later in the year and tell us how it's been going in terms of your latest wild adventures.